You know, they are now citing that an encrypted go signal was just activated worldwide, not just in America, but in Europe and in the Middle East. There are secret sleeper cells that could be possibly awaiting Westerners, should I say. But here's the thing, it's hard to tell if this is actually a true sleeper cell scenario or if it's a psyop perpetrated by the US government itself, because things are looking a little crazy. And by the end of this video, some more questions are going to be swirling in your head on how you should trust the media, if you should trust the media, if there's propaganda at play, and what it truly means for you as somebody that just wants to live as a regular human.
To activate sleeper cells outside the country. ABC News is reporting the U.S. just intercepted an encrypted message believed to have originated in Iran that may serve as an operational trigger for sleeper assets. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris joins us. You have been digging into this reported message, Jeff, and also how the U.S. plans to respond. What else are you learning?
So ABC News is reporting that the coded signal was sent after the death of Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei just about 10 days ago on February 28th. The message appearing to hold instructions for, quote, covert operatives or sleeper assets. ABC News reporting Monday, the U.S. has intercepted an encrypted message believed to have originated in Iran that may serve as a possible operational trigger to activate sleeper assets outside the country.
A country like Iran does not have the capability to beat us militarily, so they rely on asymmetric means. So they will look to use cyber attacks. They will look to use proxies like Hezbollah, criminal agents.
The U.S. warning said intelligence had detected a broadcast station repeatedly transmitting a message to multiple countries outside Iran. The alert reading in part, quote, while the exact contents of these transmissions cannot currently be determined, the sudden appearance of a new station with international rebroadcast characteristics warrants heightened situational awareness.
That's really strange, right? Is it just me, or was that a little bit more weird than what you may expect? But whether or not this is true, and whether it is true on two different levels, with it being possibly a psychological operation or truly from Iran, the U.S. is stating that they received this encrypted message. Now, I, for one, am interested to know what this encrypted message could have possibly said. Is it like a message that says a bunch of numbers and then says, go this date, and then you'll just see lots of explosions around America and Europe? Or is this something it took the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the CIA, intelligence systems some time to decode and crack? Because I would assume that if it's an encrypted signal, then, you know, maybe Iran would have said it in different languages using Islamic symbols or something of that nature. So I am curious. I want you to leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are. Now, what I'm about to express to you is a thread from the app Threads, similar to Twitter, but Meta owns it, Facebook owns it. But I found it to be quite interesting on this topic. So this is from the creator, Angie Solomon. The hashtag is Iran-USA-Israel war. It says ABC News has confirmed the U.S. just intercepted an encrypted trigger transmission likely of Iranian origin. This was not a text or an email. It was a low frequency broadcast sent across multiple countries designed to be received by covert operatives without the internet. So if this is true, the go signal was just sent out. Pre-positioned sleeper sets around the world from the US of A to Europe have their marching orders. The Pentagon and Iran law enforcement, or I should say, the Pentagon and the law enforcement of America were warned for years that this type of scenario could happen. But when they decided to unalive the Supreme Leader, the previous Ayatollah, who is the current Ayatollah's father, that was the red line. Israel and America crossed it February 28th. And this is why Trump is moving doomsday planes and evacuating embassies throughout the Middle East. And remember, a video that went viral on our channel was called President Donald Trump recalled 60 ambassadors across the world. It was from months ago. It was pre-war time. So you want to go back on the channel and find it, or go to the channel and click most popular videos to see some of those videos and rewind them and replay them, because everything is adding up to this peculiar time. Now, this poster goes on to say that President Donald Trump knows that this retaliation is not just going to be a missile strike. This is going to look like an issue in the backyard of every single nation that hosted the Epic Fury launches. All the nations in the Middle East. I don't know if they will also continue to target places in Europe or places that are just speaking out and saying that they support America, i.e. Kenya. Not sure how that's gonna go, but this is what sources are saying. And when you try to run a Venezuela plan on a country with a 40-year-old global proxy network that is laying underground, these sleeper cells are sleeper cells for a reason. These are people of various nations, various nationalities in, I guess, a lot of Western countries across the world, a lot of Middle Eastern countries across the world, a lot of these super populated places where they can potentially just cause panic and chaos in the ways of which I don't want to necessarily say on YouTube. But imagine all of these things simultaneously happen at once. This is what they're saying the alert means. Again, it was a low frequency broadcast, meaning some sort of signal or sound that they would have been predisposed to know about. I don't know. You let me know what you think down below, if it's legitimate, if this is a real thing, or if this is a possible psyop to get all the nations involved in this war and to get people to look at Iran and their people in a different light. And lastly, to close out that thread, someone else asked, how can we know the difference between a false flag terror attack event by President Trump and a real sleeper cell attack? I mean, can you really even know the difference until it's 30 years in the future and somebody comes back to report from some historical analysis or intelligence agency to say, you know what, we found out the US and Israel planned this plan? I think we're in a time where we're just not going to see the full picture of what's happening unless we've been given visions, discernment from the Most High Yah. We're not going to understand the full picture for years and years and years. And so if you are looking to travel abroad, I would definitely be careful and very prayerful about the places that you have layovers in. I wouldn't necessarily want to have a layover in Europe or the Middle East. If I could do without those at all, I would probably try to fly through like the Caribbean, or I would fly through South America or Asia and kind of go on vacation first before heading towards Africa. Or you could explore just spending more time in Asia on a retirement permit or a digital nomad visa, or come straight to Seychelles, Mauritius, Botswana, places like that, places that are forgotten about, neutral and super stable in the end times. Because the more that countries choose to speak out and say, hey, I choose to side with Iran, I choose to side with Israel, I choose to side with America, they're going to be targeted by the other party. And so you just want to go to the place where people understand the value of being quiet in these times. And this actually brought to mind a scripture from the book of Baruch. Now, this is an extra biblical book. This is a book that's in the Ethiopian Bible, the second book of Baruch. Baruch was the scribe to the prophet Jeremiah. And so he would also write things down. He would learn from prophet Jeremiah and all these types of things. But he saw a vision into Baruch where he said, at the end of the days, the wise are going to be quiet, which is quite different than what you would typically see in the scriptures, because in the ancient times, a lot of the prophets would speak out and they would challenge the kings and they would challenge the nobles and they would challenge the status quo. But this scripture said, in the end times, the wise would be quiet. So I wonder what it is exactly about these end time scenarios that makes you see that in those days, the wise who have visions, discernment, who hear from the Most High Yah as quickly as anybody else, or quicker than anybody else, those people, they're going to be quiet. They're not going to be talking about these things a lot anymore. There's going to be a time where there's a thirst for the word of Yah in the Bible, a thirst for prophecy, a thirst to understand what's happening in the globe. I think we're coming upon that time, but I don't think any of us knows what it's truly going to look like until it gets here. I have one more news alert to leave you with. This is from Sweden, okay? Again on Threads. Sweden is saying, breaking news, they're telling their people to prepare, okay? Sweden in historical times is usually neutral. They're up there in the Nordic area by Finland, by all the folks by Norway. Sweden is up there with them, okay? But Sweden has just urged their citizens to keep at least 1 week's worth of cash liquid at home amid these concerns of global crisis and potential digital payment system failures. And so this is potentially what they're talking about when they're talking about these encrypted signals, where it could target physically places where you could see some unalivement, but also targeting banks, digital payment infrastructures, and things of that nature. So you do want to be in a country unlike America that allows you to actually have some type of self-reliance, have some type of network of people in your communities. Maybe you know your local farmer, you know your local person who handles this type of resources, you know who does that type of resource, things on the ground that you would need to barter and trade with in the event that this huge blackout comes into play. And again, who knows if it would be caused by Iran or Israel or America, and does it even matter? I think in this scenario, for people that are the remnant that are just trying to figure things out in the last days, it doesn't even care who it comes from or where it comes from. It more so matters that you are prepared for these scenarios. Shalom, shalom. I'll see you in the next video.